How are you? And I'm asking, how are you from the context of having just lost your husband? How are you doing?
Today, I'm okay. I can't tell you how I was. I can tell you how I was yesterday. I can tell you how I was this week. Every day is not the same. Today, I'm okay. I'm going through life. Yeah, but thank you for asking how I am. Not everybody does ask me with the intent of actually knowing exactly how I am. Apart from the fact that I'm fine and I'll just walk by. But today I'm okay. I'm doing well.
You are obviously very close to him. How are you dealing with life in his absence? How are you carrying on?
His words rings in my ears. So whenever I want to do things, I'll be like, what would Sheyi have said? And just because we went through a spectrum of life together, I could tell. Coping, I don't know. I don't know if I'm coping. I don't know if that's what coping looks like. Thank God I have no role model. And I do not wish to have anyone around me to look up to. Because I think widowhood is such an isolating journey.
It's interesting. When I met you during the summer of last year, we had a chat together, and there was something you said that stood with me or stuck with me. You said, I wish I knew then, or I knew then what I know now. What were you referring to? What sort of things did you wish you knew then that you know now?
When I said then, I wasn't sure when is then? Pre-2000 and 2000 or post-2000?
I think we were talking about Sheyi's death and widowhood and how you were coping. And you had said it was, like you just mentioned, it's an isolated journey and you wish you knew so much, and it was no one is walking this journey with you. So
you know what, sometimes it just depends. For me personally, when Sheyi passed, I had people around me, and I had people with very good intentions. Like, I cannot even begin to verbalize how grateful I am for the people that God placed in our lives. But I've come to realize that people have their lives to live. When my husband was here, when I wanted to go on vacation, I don't call them. When we're going for dinner, I don't call them like, you know what, we're going for dinner, do you want to come? Nobody's going to call me. No, because I'm not part of their lives. They have family units that those are their primary responsibilities. So I think when I started this journey, my mind was putting a lot of pressure on people, thinking, you need to watch out for me. No, they don't need to watch out for me. I need to watch out for myself. They needed to watch out for their own families. So when I tell you it's a lonely journey, it's not that I don't have people around me. I have people that check up on me all the time, every single time. But there's nobody that can be Sheyi to me. There's nobody that can be my husband. Like, when I go out of the house for 1 hour, if I don't call Sheyi, my husband will call me like, you left home 1 hour. You've not talked to your husband. You don't understand. So one day after Sheyi passed, I drove myself for about 5 hours. Nobody called me. I parked on the highway. I was almost in Ottawa. Before somebody eventually called. I'm just like, this is gonna be difficult. Because people have gone to live their lives. And it's nobody's fault. I probably have done it to other people. So I think traveling this road, I think it's a long road. It's a long, long road. You almost have to find a way to relive your life. How do you want to relive your life without putting pressure on your friends? Be like, oh, she didn't call me. No, she doesn't have to call me. She's my friend, but I'm not her husband. I'm not his wife. Yeah. So I think I quickly had to tell myself that, okay, you know what, don't put pressure on people. They're gracious to you. Whatever they're giving you, they don't even have to. It's a privilege. So take it as such. And that's why I quickly, if not, I think I was almost getting into the space of offense. I'm like, no, don't do that. Yeah, so I changed the way I thought about things. And I started accepting anything that anybody gives me. Like, send me a text message, hey Toyin, I'm just thinking about you. And I take it, I'm like, oh my God, thank God, somebody thought about me now. Feels good. Or somebody just say, oh Toyin, I made rice. I'm gonna drop something off. I'm like, okay, God, thank you. So I started being very grateful intentionally. Without saying, oh, my sister didn't call me. My brother hasn't checked up on me. No. So those are the kind of things I found. And I think I heard it from somewhere that says that, I can't remember who told me that when somebody passes away and people tell you we're in it together, they meant it, but yeah, it doesn't play out like that. It's not their fault. They would like to, but they have lives to live. Yeah.
In spite of their best intentions.
Oh, totally. I think people definitely want to, but there are other things in their lives as well. And grief for me, I'm the only one grieving Sheyi. My children are probably grieving him differently. But the way I miss him, nobody can, because nobody was sleeping in the same room for 21 years. I'm the only one that was his wife. I knew what I shared with him. So, you know what? I can't put that pressure on anyone. His mom can't even do it. His sisters can't do it. No, because they had different relationships. His sisters will be grieving him differently. His mom will be different as well. But this is my half. This is just the second part of me. It's definitely my better half. So yeah, I think maybe that was what I meant, hopefully. But that's what I mean now.
Now, when you talk about grief and grieving him, what sort of coping mechanisms have you found, or resources have you found helpful?
So, I've looked for a different kind of resources. So when Sheyi first passed away, the social worker at the hospital called me and like, you know what? In case you need help, we're here. But I'm just like, please, that's not my problem right now. I have friends that actually reached out to me. One, a social worker, reached out to me through another friend and said, I'm here for help. If you need my help. Another friend that I think her husband is in that field reached out to me. So there were resources around me. But at that time, when she passed, all I needed was just to be sad. So I didn't go seek help immediately. Because I wanted, my husband passed away. I didn't even know what I was thinking at that time, but all I wanted was just to cry. I just want to cry. I just want to be sad, because that's what I should be. That's what I want, not should. There's no should. I think that's, so immediately I didn't go seek resources, but I did eventually. When I got to a space where I'm like, okay, how am I going to navigate this space? So I did counseling. Yeah, I did. I went through counseling, and I put my boys through counseling as well.
So this would have been grief counseling?
Grief counseling. So I did a few sessions. A sister at church was so gracious that she sent me a whole pile of books. And it was people that have lost their husbands. And it was specific to losing your husband. So I read a lot of books on how people navigated the journey. And I don't even know how I found a podcast. It's called The Widowed Mom. I started listening to those. And those kind of things kind of put things in perspective for me. Because again, my friends will be there to support me. Toyin Johnson, we're bringing you food. Do you want to go? Like one of my very close friends, she'll call me and be like, you know what? You've been in this house for weeks. I'm coming to take you out. But I didn't want to go out. But you know what? That's what she thought would be. Exactly. So I'm like, no. So I read those books. My feelings were kind of validated through the experience of those people. So, and I attended another thing. It's called Grief Share. It's a 6 weeks program. It's non-denominational, but I think it was put together by this couple that lost their child. So it's a 6 weeks program that kind of help you process your loss in a biblical perspective. It puts you, how do you process your loss? What has God said about loss? What actually happened to the people that lost people in the scriptures? How did they cope? How did they live life? So I kind of poured myself a lot into all these resources because I knew I couldn't do it alone. I just think that if I tried to do it alone, I probably would just stay in depression and just maybe continue with meds or. So it was almost an intentional thing that I had to do. And not that I asked for that, but my pastor's wife would call me almost 2 to 3 times every week for the first 1 year. Those things, and she would just keep speaking to me. Sometimes she would send me scriptures. Sometimes she would call me and be like, Toyin, this is not a permanent thing for you. So those words, she would just keep speaking it. And at the end of the day, those words started finding ground in my life. So, I think quite a number. I did a lot of things. I can't remember. I did books, podcasts, therapy. And I did a coaching session, but I didn't do that until last year.
Okay, much later.
Much later, because I needed to process the loss first.
Absolutely. And I know that you're a working woman. And so after Shay's passing, did you go to work immediately?
Not immediately. I think I took 2-3 weeks off from work. But I had to go back.
You had to go back. Did you feel you were prepared to go back to work at the time you went?
Not necessarily, but I know I would not be able to afford to stay at home.
You didn't have the luxury.
I don't have the luxury of not working. So I've looked at our finances, I looked at the mortgage I had to pay tuition. My husband's income is no longer there. I looked at the obligations we have. I'm like, okay, girl, dust yourself off, go carry your laptop and report back to work. And I had to do that. In the midst of work, trust me, sometimes I'll be in meetings and I'll be crying.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, how was that transition going to work at that time?
I didn't know how it was going to work, but I can tell you it was a difficult time. Because at some points I'm like, oh my God. In the midst of all this, I still have to work. Because my bills they didn't stop. Bills will come every month. They have to be paid. So my work was quite gracious. Like I just tell them, please, if I'm not speaking, it doesn't mean that I'm not here. I'm probably here, but I'm having to deal with so many things. I had to deal with Shay's account. I had to deal with paperwork. I had to did so many things. So in the midst of working, I'll just bow and be like, I'll just break down. I remember one day we're having a meeting and somebody at work said something about a drug. And it was one of the drugs that Shay was using while in the hospital. And I'm just like, in the world, what awful example. And my director saw me and be like, Toyin, do you want to go off camera and take some time off? So it wasn't easy at all, but I had to work. My sons needs to feed and they needed to go to school. So it wasn't a choice.
And how are they doing?
They're doing okay. My older son doesn't speak as much as my younger son. My older son is more of, he's quite conservative. He doesn't speak about the loss as much as my younger son. So my younger son and I will be like, what would your dad have said? So we'll talk about things like that. Or my younger son will be like, you remember, dad said something, but my older son, not so much. But I'll ask him, and I'll genuinely ask him, how are you with the loss of your dad? I don't just ask him how he's doing, because the answer will be, when I started asking that, he'll be like, I'm fine. But when I started asking more questions, what are the things that you're doing to cope with your dad's not here? Then I'll provoke a conversation. The conversation may be really minimal. Be like, Mom, what do you want me to say? You know what? My dad is not here. But I think just to take you back a little bit to when she was in the hospital, January 22nd is my son's birthday, and he just woke up. He's like, how can you have a dad and in the hospital and you can't speak to him? He said, it's my first time in my 20 years that my dad have not called me on my birthday. And I think that day was the day that I had one second of thought that what happens if this is permanent? But trust me, Within few minutes, I shook it off. I'm like, no, that's not our story. So my older son, he will say things. He's full of wisdom. I tell him, like, he's my younger son, Dolu, you're full of wisdom too, because you and I were the same. But Tommy is like Shay. They are very thoughtful people. They speak, but they speak wisdom. So he's not the one that would just lose words. So I think they're okay. I think they're doing as good as they can. Yeah.
What was Shay's? Did he have a nice place or a special place that he liked to visit?
The kegs. We go for dinner. I'm a lazy cook. I know how to cook, but I'm a lazy cook. So we go to the kegs quite often to have dinner. And again, the kids weren't home, so it was just Shay and I'm like, Shay, please don't let's waste stove. Let's just go and eat. So we will go to the kegs quite often.
And have you been since his passing?
Yeah, we started going back regularly. But the first year, it was a very difficult thing for me to go. But I try not to go to the ones that we've gone. Shay and I will go. So I haven't been to anyone that we have gone together.
Wow.
Yeah, I go to other ones.
Yeah. When you look back and think about Shay's life, what do you think his legacy was?
She is a giver. Like, when people were like, she did this. I'm like, hey, Father, where was he getting the money from? Because I know we didn't have too much. But for him to be able to give out of the little we had, so Shay can't stand the fact that, somebody is lacking. Say, hey, Toyin. Sometimes you will even come to me, Toyin, for me 1,000 ben. I'm like, Shay, 1,000. Where is 1,000 going from? He said, don't worry, I'll explain to you later. So now it's obvious to me what he was using the money for. And it's not even only money. Like Shay is the kind of person that if I ask him, remember that schoolmate we had when we were in SS2? He's like, oh yeah, I spoke with him 2 weeks ago. Like, really? Wow. So he's the one that will follow up on people. He was the one that will check up on people. Yeah, so yeah, I'm reaping his seed.
Wonderful. Now, what's the most difficult decision you've had to make since Shay's passing?
Moving from our home.
You had to move.
Yeah, moving from the house that we shared. It was difficult, but it was something that I needed to do. And the reason I said that is I couldn't even remove Shay's slippers from where he left it when I was driving him to the hospital. So I just thought if we had to move, I'll be forced to pack things up. And I think that's one of the main reasons that I'm like, yeah, but I'm glad I didn't do it the first year. But moving was one of my most difficult decisions. Yeah. One of them. I've had a few.
I see that you're still wearing your wedding ring.
Yes.
Is that Shay's band on your thumb?
Yes, a Shay's band. And that's mine, yeah.
Is there a time that you would be able to take the ring off?
I don't know. I love them. It's when we turned 20 years, I made him go buy me a new ring. And I said, you know what, you never proposed to me formally. So I made him. And I remember I'm like, now you have to propose to me. It's like,
after 20 years.
Like, do you know how old you are? I'm like, I don't care. Kneel down and propose. I say, yes, okay, if that's what you want. I'm like, yeah. So, no, it doesn't bother me. I like it. I like being married, if I can say that. And I like being married to Shay. So, no, it's here for now. I don't know when I'm going to take it off. I have no idea.
You talked a lot about faith. What role has faith played in, I guess, grounding you in this season, in this journey? What role has faith played?
At first, it was difficult. I can't tell you I didn't lose my faith. I did. I can tell you my first few months, I'm just like, God, how did this happen? Like, I've heard stories of people going and they come home. How is my own different? What have I done wrong? Well, what was it that I did wrong? So it was very difficult for me I couldn't even pray. Sometimes I'll go to church, they'll sing some songs, I'm just like, this one doesn't apply to me. You guys can be worshiping God and be doing things. But I never stopped reading my Bible. That one, I never stopped. And at some point, I'm just like, okay. The only faith I know is the one I am in. And I started seeing scriptures where people actually passed away. Jesus died at 33. And there was a place in the scripture where God didn't want to die. He actually said, if it's thy will, or if it's, let this cup pass, something like that. I'm like, okay, so he didn't want to die. And I saw most of the disciples of Christ, they died young. So if that happened to people, God has the ability to heal, but mine didn't happen that way. Does that now make me desert God? So I pivoted to going back to my faith because that's what I knew. And my faith has worked for me. So it was difficult. I had different thoughts about how God, and until my son said, Mom, I think God failed us. I'm like, no, I don't think God failed us. I think this time it didn't happen the way we wanted it. That doesn't mean God doesn't fail. But I couldn't tell him because I needed him to go back and rediscover his own faith. And just say, it's okay. So I just went back. I'm just like, it's a choice I consciously made, if I can say that. Just said, you know what, God, I'm going to trust you. I'll say trust you. Yeah, you took Shay. You knew how dear he was to me. God, you offended me in that part, but I forgive you. So, you know what, it's happened. I don't think there's anything that happens without God knowing. Why it happened? I stop asking why. I stop asking because it's a useless question. Yes, I just started seeing my loss in the eyes of the scripture.
Wow, Toyin, thank you so much for joining us today, for sharing such an emotional story with us.
Thank you.
It wasn't easy, but thank you for sharing. And I pray that your story will inspire and motivate someone else going through the same journey.
Thank you. Amen.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for watching another episode of Talk with Mo. Please don't forget to share, to like, to subscribe to this channel because we are coming back with another exciting, amazing episode. Like you saw in this video, It was real, it was authentic, and this has been life-changing for our guests today. God bless you. Catch you later. Bye now. Hello, I'm excited that you are here with us. I'm excited to be going on this journey with you. Please go ahead and subscribe to this channel. We are on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok, and on Twitter. Our handle is @TalkWithMo. I look forward to seeing you real soon for another exciting episode. God bless you. Catch you later.